we bring you back to the 15th century, one of the strangest times in English history, when a weak king needed to be replaced. So sit back, relax, because we're about to repeat history. Richard Neville, an English noble and military commander, recognized that his wealth could be compromised under the policies of Henry VI. The Neville family created their wealth and prestige through a series of strategic marriages. Richard Neville married the sister of the Duke of Warwick, eventually inheriting their land and title. For this reason, historians often refer to Richard Neville as just Warwick. Let's take a look at a significant moment that helped shape Warwick's behavior. Warwick was a knighted and loyal lord under King Henry VI from the House of Lancaster and his wife, Margaret of Anjou. Warwick thought he had the position of influence with the Lancasters. However, when the king took a large piece of land from Warwick and granted it to the Duke of Somerset, who was also getting closer to Margaret, Warwick was furious. He realized that he would need to find a powerful alliance if he was going to restore his wealth and status. Warwick knew that it took a clever political craftsman to manipulate the nobles, so Warwick left the Lancasters and created an alliance with his own uncle, the Duke of York, with the intent to challenge King Henry's title. Lancasters and Yorks. Sound familiar? The two houses in the Wars of the Roses, a series of English civil wars and a decades-long fight for the throne. Warwick, his father, and York worked together with their armies and confronted Somerset and Henry VI in the first battle of the Wars of the Roses. The result? Somerset was killed and Henry was taken prisoner. The Duke of York was appointed Lord Protector by Parliament. Why is this important? Warwick's rebellion shifted power to another English house. In return, York gifted more land and power to Warwick. However, this role as Lord Protector was not a permanent position. In fact, the warring houses continued to battle, and power would go from York back to Lancaster after the Battle of Ludford Bridge. York fled to Ireland, and Warwick took York's son, Edward, to Calais. For Warwick, it was a time to strategize, regroup, and reassemble an army. Warwick returned to defeat Henry's army at Northampton, and took Henry prisoner again. With the victory, York returned expecting to take the throne for himself, but Parliament, at Warwick's urging, decided to let Henry VI keep the throne, retaining power with the House of Lancaster. After Margaret's armies killed York, Warwick recognizes Edward, the new Duke of York, as a potential successor to the throne of England. Warwick created a strategic alliance with Edward, and by combining forces, Warwick and Edward went to London and were able to force Margaret and her army out. Londoners were sympathetic to the Yorks and were supportive of Edward IV as the new King of England. Warwick was credited with bringing the new king to power. England was now firmly under the House of York. Warwick wielded the real power of the throne for the first 3 years of Edward's reign. Government was in the hands of Warwick and his closest friends and allies. Warwick was the second richest person to King Edward IV through his vast land holdings. Warwick planned to arrange a marriage for Edward with a French noblewoman, seeking to create a strategic alliance with France. Instead, Edward secretly married Elizabeth Woodville, an English woman, and her family started to influence the king. Warwick felt betrayed and left Edward IV to go to France, where he would meet with an old friend and enemy, Margaret of Anjou. Now this is interesting. Within a matter of weeks after Warwick left, England was shattered. Edward never captivated the people's devotion to himself. They preferred Warwick's leadership qualities. People despised Elizabeth Woodville. Problems with the economy upset the people, including heavy taxes that had no signs of being beneficial to England. And crime rates were even up. Ruling a country takes a skill that Edward lacked. The governor of Abbeville said it best. They have but two rulers, Warwick and another whose name I have forgotten. Edward depended on Warwick's guidance, and when Warwick left, England was aimless. Warwick and Margaret worked out a marriage for their children, creating another alliance for Warwick with the Lancastrians. Warwick went back to England, and through battle he drove Edward IV off the throne, and put Henry VI back on the throne, shifting England back under Lancastrian control. For 6 months, Warwick ruled England as lieutenant for Henry VI. While the role of the monarchy is reduced in England today, and politics have evolved, the human characteristics of greed and self-preservation still exist, and many people have followed similar strategies and actions to Warwick. Warwick was a fascinating character, involved in one of the most tumultuous times in England's rich history. Warwick is still appreciated. His memory lives on to this date. His legacy was recreated by Shakespeare in his historic plays, and elements of the mastermind can be found in multiple roles on Game of Thrones. Warwick made such a lasting impact on history that the arts and entertainment industry has adopted his strategies, cunningness, and actions in countless projects. Throughout his story, Warwick elevated everything he did to the next level and was usually a step ahead of everyone else. Warwick effectively used kings and lords, created strategic alliances through marriage, influenced policies, started rebellions, and aligned himself with other powerful nobles to put himself in power, proving to be influential particularly to England and France. He was able to shift the direction of England from the Lancastrians to the Yorkists and back again, as necessary, to hold the throne for his personal benefit, and earning him the intimidating nickname, the Kingmaker.